Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high-octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another power-packed episode of Top Tier Wrestling. I'm your host, Don Anthony Bowens, and this is my co-host, the greatest podcaster in the world, Josh X Caster. Today, we're talking about AEW. Let's get into it.
Josh X Caster.
That's right.
Nice. Hey, everybody loves the Top Tier Wrestling podcast.
Everybody.
All right, and
I should say we're reviewing AEW Collision, not just talking about AEW. AEW Collision for 10/19.
Yep. And this was the AEW Collision that leads into Battle of the Belts. And weirdly, for a show called Battle of the Belts, I felt like there was really only one actual belt match where there was a belt on the line. But We'll get more into that as we reach the end of Collision. For those that want a bit of a preview, Collision was pretty darn good, and let's get into it. We start the night with a very high-intensity match between Ricochet and AR Fox. And I didn't realize going into this just how impressive AR Fox was going to look. Like, thus far in AEW, he's been sort of treated kind of in the mid-card. But he really, especially after seeing this match, he really stepped up, and him and Ricochet put on like a high-flying, crazy banger.
Yeah, and I'll admit, I've seen AR Fox before. I think we both have, and I don't know. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to him or what. But I appreciate Ricochet and AR Fox having this match, and I guess Ricochet giving him a bump here because it made me pay attention to him. I understand that they've had matches before in the past, Ricochet and AR Fox. So the chemistry between these two was there, and the skill from AR Fox and of course Ricochet definitely there. So this ended up being a match that just took me by surprise. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was so good that it made me go back and look at previous matches that AR Fox has been in because it was just that good. And I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you.
No, you're just fine. You're saying all the same things I was going to say, which is that I was wildly impressed with this particular match. I mean, Ricochet has looked good, in my opinion, since he's come to AEW, and he's really been able to kind of cut loose with the in-ring work, the work rate.
Well, except for that one time that he came to AEW and lost his first match.
Oh, God. You mean the,
oh my god!
Match that he didn't lose. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's right.
Trying to pitch it like AEW immediately was burying Ricochet. I mean, stop trying to just bury AEW to bury AEW, folks. It's unnecessary.
I'm not sure why. Like,
they can both exist.
AEW they really can.
WWE. You can like two things at once. It's possible.
You get more wrestling, guys. You love wrestling, don't you? You get more of it.
I certainly know I appreciate that. I'm a big fan of both WWE and AEW, especially right now. And I think they are feeding off each other and competing with one another, which is just a good outcome for all of us fans that mark out for this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, anybody remember the Monday Night Wars? That shit was
You know
legit.
who definitely does? Tony Khan.
Yeah, he sure does.
He
He sure
absolutely
does.
does.
And I mean, like, and okay, we normally don't have these types of discussions, and I'm not trying to go into business for myself here, but I can say that
Uh-oh. Here comes the fight song.
I'm about to sit Indian style on my floor here. Um, but no, you may I completely, almost completely lost my train of thought. But
No.
but honestly, I think both promotions, they aren't perfect, right? Like neither one of them are perfect. But I honestly believe that both are given the best uh that I feel like both of them are only getting better. I'll put it that way. And
I think
we
that's
can't
fair.
we can't expect for a promotion to come along and just be absolutely like perfection. As a matter of fact, if there was a perfect promotion around here, no one would believe it. No one would trust it. We're not those types of folks. We'd be very squinty eyed about it. So I think that like we have to remember that both promotions are run by humans, you know, and people are gonna do some awesome shit, and then they're gonna do some really fucked up shit. That's just what humans do. So you're not gonna agree with everything that every promotion does, and honestly, you probably shouldn't. So you know, get over it. You don't agree with something that Tony Khan does. You don't agree with something Triple H does. Hey, get over it, man. Like you're not gonna agree with everything, and it's okay. Like I don't know where we got to this point where it's either yes or no and nothing in between. But that's just not how life works. I
Yeah.
can't think of anything where life works that simple. There's always something, right?
Yeah.
Like
But
so,
that
come on.
said, that said, I do think when we know they can be better and put on a better product, and that's
Yeah,
not what we're getting, we're absolutely well within our right to be critical of it.
I
I
absolutely
just,
agree,
I
but
just
I just
think
don't
that
want
there's a
shit canning for the sake of shit canning.
no,
That's what
and
I'm
I was
talking
about to
about.
agree with you there. I was
Yeah.
about to say there's a difference between criticizing something because you genuinely want it to improve versus
Yeah.
just throwing out haterade because you want them to burn.
Yes,
And all of
yes.
our criticisms come from a place of one, we love the product and we're trying to offer up like our opinion of how it could be better.
Yeah.
And second, we've seen better. Like usually when we're like down on SmackDown recently, like the minute it got better, we were right there. We were like, this is the bomb. This is what we need to
Yeah.
see. And then it falls back again to not being so good. And it's like, well, we're gonna call you on it,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we're consumers of this product. We're fans of this product.
Yeah.
And so when we know we can get better and you have provided better, then
Yeah.
there's, we want to tell you how to make it better and we
Yeah,
want
we
better.
like if we see better and then you backslide to being shitty again, we see like we just saw you do better. We're gonna call you out on it. Period. That has nothing to do with we want this fucking promotion to tank or we want this promotion. It's got nothing to do with that. Like if you love wrestling, then you just love wrestling, and sometimes one of your favorite wrestlers won't be in WWE or he won't be in AEW. What are you gonna do? Not support him? Which is something that I've
Yeah.
heard, by the way. I've heard people go, "Oh well, he's going to AEW, so screw him." Are you serious? You're that fickle about it? Come on.
Well, I know for a fact that with Sam Irvin just recently leaving WWE, I'll be
Yeah.
thrilled to pieces if she decides to share her talent over on AEW. I know
Yeah.
Ricochet tweeted that that's not going to happen, but for all I know, he's just working us,
Yeah. Yeah.
to keep it suspenseful.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
But
gonna happen or not. I know Bobby Lashley wasn't supposed to be wrestling again, and now I hear that he's gonna be showing up at AEW anytime soon. So who knows?
yeah,
Maybe it's work, and I'm here for it.
that's
Like
something
I,
I'm looking forward to. I'd like to see what the Hurt Business can be capable of
oh
with
yeah,
the
yeah,
freedom that AEW typically gives these guys.
yeah,
And the fact that they're already clashing with Swerve is a good place to start. Although, and I know we're getting a little off subject here. We were talking about Ricochet and AR Fox, but just real quick, they need to pitch Shelton Benjamin real strong. They need to depict him strong, and they're going to need to depict Lashley strong. Um, So I'm looking forward to seeing how that ends up going.
Yeah.
That said, this particular match with Ricochet and AR Fox blew my mind. Like, I really didn't expect AR Fox to step up. And just to cover a couple of the high spots, because I mean, as you can imagine, there was like shooting star presses for days and lots of top rope action between these two. But there was particularly nasty, like Fox hit a middle rope DDT and kind of rolled Ricochet into a power bomb for a 2 count, and that was a nice sequence. It looked amazing. And then later, Ricochet, I think, German suplexed AR Fox and then set him up for a top rope shooting star press, which did not connect, but Ricochet landed it on his feet, and that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And he tried to go to the top again, and AR Fox hit Lo Mein Pain, which is essentially a slingshot Spanish fly. It's the same move that Theory was using there for a bit, and then it didn't go so well with Carmelo Hayes, and so he's kind of retired it. But AR Fox and Ricochet nailed it, and then Fox went up for a 450 splash and got a 2 count. And so, I mean, these were some nice high spots. We end up ending it with Ricochet drilling AR Fox with a full Nelson suplex into a big knee strike that set him up for, Ricochet up to hit Vertigo, and he did. And I had a minor complaint that the couple times I'd seen Ricochet hit Vertigo thus far, he stopped spinning, like doing a 360 first. This time he did it. So I don't know. I don't know if he's listening or if somebody else had a similar complaint, but I did appreciate Ricochet actually having Vertigo theoretically give the opponent Vertigo first before he drills them. So fantastic match to start the night. This is what you come to AEW for, is that work rate, and these guys gave it to us. And this was really Ricochet giving AR Fox not only a hell of a match, but a damn fine rub. I really hope we get to see AR Fox come up out of the mid card and maybe get a push on AEW television now after this match.
Yeah, that's not a mid card guy. That's not a mid card.
No, AR Fox is really, really much better than I think we've seen out of him until this moment. So I'm really kind of hoping this can leverage AR Fox to a higher spot on the card, at least over at Collision.
I mean, I just kind of feel like, because I mean, thinking about his previous matches that we've seen him in, because we've seen him in, especially when we first started watching AEW, he was there quite a bit. So we've seen him in a few matches, but he just never stood out like this. And I'm wondering, was he? Because I mean, it's not normally in the business of AEW to twist the arms of their wrestlers in respects to what they do in the ring. You know what I mean? Yeah. So was he doing everything that we saw him doing in AEW? Because when I looked him up, I had to, like, the matches that I saw him in were not AEW matches that came up. They were like independent matches where this dude was just shining. And I just don't recall him doing so in any other AEW match. Were we just like not paying attention to him? Were we sleeping on AR Fox and AEW?
No. I don't think that's the case at all. I think this really legitimately marks a showcasing of AR Fox. Like, the couple of times we've seen him before, he's done cool stuff, but it was always in like a tag match, so his segments were never very long. This is one of the few times that at least I recall seeing AR Fox and AEW really get to showcase his work. And it was awesome. Like, they gave him plenty of time to let it breathe. Like, the whole purpose of this match was not only to show us some more Ricochet, which is, he's clearly on a push, and that's good, but it was a very good opportunity to give AR Fox a chance to shine, and both were accomplished here. Both men looked fantastic. The match was very good. The in-ring action was good. Not really any storyline here, but this was just good freaking wrestling. I mean, that's what this was. Again, AEW's strong suit is their work rate in the ring, and this was that. And this was a really good kind of high flyer. I almost want to say like light heavyweight match, because these guys are still throwing DDTs and power bombs and pile drivers and all that. and full Nelson suplexes. So it's not exclusively high flyer, not like lucha libre style, but it was high flying mixed in with some powerhouse stuff. So it's the only way I know to call that would be either hybrid or like light heavyweights. But it was fantastic. It was a really good match. I saw some stuff out of AR Fox I had never seen before, and I'm actually hyped to see AR Fox and what they can do with him now. Either give him a singles push, or I would love to see AR Fox join up with something like the Conglomeration. Certainly, much more, no offense, than Rocky Romero. But we'll see. We'll see what AEW decides to do with Mr. Fox. But that was a heck of a match. And of course, your winner by pinfall was Ricochet. And immediately following the match, Ricochet grabs a mic and he lets us all know that he's not been pinned or submitted in the ring since he debuted. And he calls out Konosuke Takeshita and says, wherever Takeshita goes, he's going to follow him and he'll be there waiting to kick his ass for that international championship. And he has no problems knocking off opponent after opponent until he becomes the new international champion. And so Ricochet has made his intention known that he is coming after one Konosuke Takeshita.
And I hope he wins. Honestly, I honestly hope he wins. I would love for him to get that belt. And, it's good. It's good that AEW is finally doing something Ricochet. I'm kidding. Yeah. This is the run.
Because he's been there. He's been there for so long, and they're finally giving poor Ricochet a push.
Yeah, just jobbing, just job after job after job. Yeah. That sounds familiar, but for some reason it just doesn't connect when I say AEW. Anyway.
Following that, if you want to, go ahead.
Oh, after that, we got a promo from Daniel Garcia, and oh my god, is that private party? And it's basically them just saying that they're going to relieve the Young Bucks of the responsibility of being leaders, and they're not going to allow the BCC or the Moxley crew, or whatever you want to call them, to take over the company. Yeah, whatever they're going by. They're not going to allow them to take over the company. And tonight, they were planning to take care of a busyness. So yeah, just another. Oh, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, since you mentioned the Moxley crew, I think I was a little too excited to get into that match with Ricochet and AR Fox.
Oh yeah,
impressive. But we did get a pre-taped promo from Jon Moxley saying that nothing has changed since he got here, and that the AEW World title isn't owned by someone; it's for the person in the position. So I don't know what you mean by that, and
whatever that means.
He also goes on to say that the belt is everything he hates about AEW. Then why did you fight so hard to get it? I'm really confused by where Moxley is coming from with a lot of what he's trying to say. But he does go on to say that tonight there will be a trios title match, and the Moxley crew is going to win this war since they are pure and their enemies are weak. Not sure what you mean by that.
Yeah. That's also like maybe you come away from this, John.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like there's you made a comment on the last one about like maybe don't hop into a back of a pickup truck looking like the most like white supremacist you can, and then saying
like I think this is on purpose.
Like they're pure and the enemies are weak. I get it, but I don't know how I feel about coming at it from that angle. And then he says, this isn't a match tonight, it's the execution of Top Flight. So later on, Top Flight will be battling the Moxley crew, or the BCC, or whatever they're going with. I'm sticking with Moxley crew. I think that's better.
Questionable Caucasian 4, or whatever you want to call them.
I'm not going to call them that either. So I'm going to go with the Moxley crew. I think that's a nice place to be.
Will not say that, thank you. I'm going to call them the crew of Moxley. There.
The Moxleyans.
Yeah, the questionable crew of Moxley. So yeah, that's the thing. And I think right after that after that promo with Daniel Garcia and Private Party, we had our second match of the night, which is Chris Statlander versus Harley Cameron.
I gotta just say, when this first like I'm excited to see Statlander because we know she can go. She's a powerhouse.
Right.
And then they announced Harley Cameron, and initially I was like, because I don't exactly love Harley Cameron and Saraya, but Harley Cameron absent Saraya actually ended up being not so bad.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
That's,
go ahead.
I mean, no, I just said that's true. That's all. I was done with my sentence. I can add more though. I do have more
go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Cameron was not annoying at all. And now I have to admit her character has not grown in me yet. But the only advice that I could give is the advice that actually Josh gave about another character, which is just stick with it. Eventually, if you stick with that particular character, you stick with that gig, then eventually it's either going to make it or not. You know what I mean? And I think if given the right opportunities, she could make that character work. I found her more amusing on her own than I've ever found her with oh god, what's her name? Saraya. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is about Saraya, guys. But just ever since she's gotten to AEW, I have seen nothing that I'm impressed with. Her promos are just kind of gross. I don't even know what it is, but there's something about the whole spiel that she's doing that just ain't working for me. And I didn't realize how much until Harley Cameron was by herself and I got to see her interacting with anyone or anything else outside of being with Saraya. So I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you, and I feel slightly bad because I just feel like I'm judging somebody, and I'm not even sure what I'm judging them on. But I know what I can say about her in-ring action, which is I'm not impressed. Have not been impressed since she's come to AEW. She hasn't done anything really that I have seen that looks good in the ring. The stuff that she comes up with on the mic, it's either going to be slag or cow or stupid cow or that's pretty much it, man. And I feel like everything that they've given her, she has the same one note dick with everything that's put into her lap. So I don't know.
And this was criticisms of Harley or Saraya?
This is criticisms of Harley, and I'm sorry, of Saraya, and why I didn't know that I did not like this lady as much until Harley Cameron came out by herself and had a match with Chris Statlander, because Harley Cameron in that match did not bother me at all. She was actually pretty good. Yeah. And the character that she had was, it was the same character that she has whenever she's around Saraya. Whenever she's around Saraya. But I found her not annoying at all. And I thought that she gave a pretty decent match. I did not expect for her to win, but I was impressed by how unannoyed I was with her and anything she was doing in the ring.
It wasn't a particularly long match. No. And just real quick, I want to speak to the match, but then I also want to kind of address some of the stuff you said about Saraya. Yeah. In this match, there was a little bit of back and forth early on, where Statlander picked her up at one point for a spinning backbreaker that I swear looked like it broke Harley in half. It was fantastic looking. But then Statlander rushed her in the corner, and Harley got out the way and drilled her with this massive kick. And after kicking her again and then getting kind of a spinning DDT, Harley gets her, Statlander's kind of getting up on her knees, and Harley's taunting her. And I'm like, Harley, do you want to die? And that was pretty much what happened next. Statlander German suplexed her out of her little shoes and drilled her with some corner attacks, and then hit something akin to a Blue Thunder Bomb and a discus lariat straight into Saturday Night Fever. And I remember laughing because on the Blue Thunder Bomb, Shivani called it the Saturday Night Fever. And they were kind of confused. Like, I think Nigel was like, hmm? And then when she actually hit Saturday Night Fever, Nigel was like, and that's Saturday Night Fever. And so it was pretty funny.
Man.
I mean, Shivani has been doing this for 18 trillion billion years, and I know he's an older guy, like 66 or something like that. But it's just funny how often, like, he will call the completely wrong move that has happened in the ring.
I have to say that's something that's new, though, and it's kind of concerning me because the past freaking 3 months or so, that dude's been calling wrong moves left and right. And I don't know if he's busy. I don't know if he's feeling overwhelmed. I don't know if there's some kind of health issue. Maybe he's just starting to forget stuff. But that's kind of concerning. I hope that someone is paying attention there to that and just making sure that my man's okay, because like you said, he's been doing this for years. Okay, and I know 66, sure, but I mean that's not like, you know, it shouldn't be like, well, see you in the grave tomorrow. Like that's not the case anymore.
Time to put you out to pasture.
Right. So, you know, my man's still working, but he's been kind of off kilter as of late, and I'm hoping that somebody's watching and make sure that dude's okay, because
that's a possibility. It might be that he's real busy.
Maybe he's tired.
As AEW is expanding and growing new roster members all the time. But at the same time, Shivani wasn't. I mean, he's always been color, but he's not necessarily been the play-by-play guy. And I would honestly leave that more to Nigel, being that Nigel's a wrestler and he knows these moves inside and out.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that's kind of the same thing with Corey. Whenever from WWE, Corey is kind of more like he used to be the wrestler, so he's got the play. Yeah, he very seldom misses the name of a move, whereas Michael Cole,
Michael Cole will do the same thing. Yeah, he'll call.
Yeah, so you might be right there. You might be right. So maybe I just need to calm down and quit thinking this guy's about to
Michael
melt
Cole,
his brain.
Yeah, I've seen Michael call Uranagi's choke slams forever, and it's like, dude, they're not though. They're super not. It's like, are you watching the same match as me? But long story short, Chris Statlander pretty definitively smashes Harley Cameron. But it wasn't a bad match. It was a good match. And Saturday Night Fever looked good. Although I'm not sure Harley Cameron or like her leg was a little too straight as Statlander was trying to get at least that one hook. Mm-hmm. So that looked a little off, but otherwise, I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. And it still came across just fine. And that's the match. And speaking to Saraya, based on some of the things you said, I tend to agree. For a woman that they hired for name recognition, right, as Paige back in WWE, one of the women that are credited with the, revolution away from divas more to wrestlers. This is another one of those hires on name recognition that really hasn't made an impact of any kind. And in fact, they had a chance for it. Like, they had a chance when Hayter came back to put on this real big feud between, like, her and Saraya, and that just sort of went away in one match that wasn't even that. Like, it didn't have the heat that you would think somebody who got put on the shelf for over a year would have.
You know what it reminded me of?
Hayter's already just moving on. Like, she's like, holla.
That match that Hayter and Saraya had reminds me, honestly, no joke, of the intermission like comedy skits that they used to do in the rodeo, or when they were trying to when the clowns were trying to get the attention of the bulls. That's what that match reminded me of. Just like a throwaway comedy thing to make people laugh and attract their get their attention from something else that's happening. Like that's what that match was to me.
Yeah, it ended up being like a prop match. Like here, I'm hitting you with a Betamax, and then like some other stuff, a cookie
Yeah,
sheet.
yeah.
And so it was like,
Insert
okay,
Benny Hill
but
music here.
yeah. And for this match that was supposed to be Hayter's big comeback and getting her payback on Saraya, like I just don't feel like that program was built up or delivered like you would have thought. And it looks like Hayter's already moved past Saraya onto like trying to get back to her championship that she never lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just haven't seen Saraya unfortunately make any kind of impact as somebody that was hired. Another one of those ones that was hired off of their name recognition, kind of the same as CM Punk was, the same as Mercedes Moné has been. And Mercedes Money has been is definitely the right phrasing there.
Man, you ain't lying.
There's just this like, they almost do better with what they grow like on their own in a lot of cases than the ones that they hire off of name recognition. Not all of them, but a fair number of them just don't seem to have delivered on the premise when they got hired initially.
Yeah,
and Saraya, unfortunately, is another one of those. Just hasn't made any significant impact in the women's division.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. She is, I'm not even sure. Excuse me, I'm not even sure the proper word. Disappointing, maybe. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a disappointing, higher, because I see Saraya and again, anybody that comes from another promotion to AEW, I never think screw you. I'm usually happy to see him. I'm like, cool, let's see what you can do here, especially if you were in a promotion that you were maybe stifled in. Then whenever you get to AEW, man, I'm stoked. I'm excited to see it. I just need to see something when you get there. Like, I just need to see something. That's it. Show me a little. Ricochet gets there. I know, he lost the first match he was in. Shut up. I get it.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
But, I know. But, he came there and put on a clinic. The very first freaking match he had. Here's another opportunity to show your fans what you can do. And you already have fans. That's the cool thing about it. You already got people that are gonna cheer for you the second they see you. All of these people, like, you got a name, and so people are expecting to see you just in that alone. So you don't even have to kick against, well, I'm a stranger and no one's gonna know me. They know you. All you gotta do is come out there and do what people know you to do. And instead, for some reason, there are just some hires that come here, and it's like, I'm just going to take it easy. And I'm sorry, I don't think AEW is the promotion you come to take it easy.
No, and for as many folks that have complained, like, when they end up being let go from WWE where they felt creatively stifled, it's clear that they have more control over how their character is portrayed and whatnot. Like, they don't book their own matches, but they get to portray their own character and say their pieces when they're cutting promos pretty much on their own, unless it's part of a bigger story where there's some points that they got to hit. So I would agree with you. I would think, here's your moment to shine. We're going to get out the way and let you do your thing and get over. And, so if you don't, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And in this case, with people like Saraya and Monet, and I'm sure that there's someone else that would come to mind. It's just, you have an opportunity. What are you doing?
Yeah, so unfortunately, there's just not been anything that Saraya has been a big part of. Like, I think she was part of the Outsiders, which she or whatever they were called, and that whole thing felt like it was a direct rip from the NWO, including bringing out like the little spray cans and painting the little thing on them on people. But that was going so far nowhere that Tony Storm got out of it. And, Ruby Soho has been out being, I think, pregnant. So,
Yeah, I think she's pregnant.
Soraya's just been kind of in this limbo. So you had a chance to have an opportunity here between her and Hayter, and they just were like, nah. So I don't know. But I'm with you. Like, Soraya just hasn't really been that significant of a factor in the women's division.
No. All she's done is run her mouth, and even that is just like, oh God.
Yeah.
The character that she's portraying for me reminds me of just like someone that you would find screaming at you at a gas station, whatever. Like the second you came out of the gas station, like you went to get some gas, and you're like, "Man, I want to give me some Doritos and a Dr. Pepper." I don't know. Go in, and everything's great. You're coming out. It's nice and quiet outside, except for right around the corner of the building. There's a lady that's about to start yelling at you about her cats, and there's like she's just yelling, man. She's just going to town. And you're trying to be nice, about it, but you're also trying to get to your car, but you kind of don't want her to know which car is yours, So it's like you're trying to entertain the issue and crab walk as quickly as possible to your car, and she's just still going at it about her cats. And when you're like, okay, I gotta go now, she's like, you stupid shit, It's like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I suppose you could make the argument that any sort of character trope is played out in pro wrestling because they've been a little bit of everything everywhere. Yeah. But it feels to me like chicks end up in one of three categories. They're either crazy to the point of incoherent, or they are a super slut. At least, that was kind of how Harley Cameron initially made her appearance, was like just being like excessively slutty was her thing. Or maybe they're goth. I think those are your like three options, and it's like,
oh no, you forgot, not goth. No, you forgot the. I think the third option is you have to be a bitch, just like an absolute outright.
A mean girl.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Like what's her name? Oh my God, Marissa May. Mariah May. Marissa.
Yeah.
Mariah May, like that. She's the mega bitch right now. She's the mean girl. I mean, and that even the group that Soraya, whatever, had with Tony, and Ruby,
vibe.
Right? Yeah. So you're either the bitchy, like, you do what I say when I say do it, like Nia Jax. Like those are it. Like you got to be like this super. That's right, super mega bitch.
Yeah.
And or the super mega slut, like Liv Morgan.
Yeah, and some of them really fall flat. I think some of these women lack the charisma to pull it off. And so I don't know what you do with that, but yeah, I mean, long story short, I agree with you. Soraya just hasn't done anything too impressive, and disappointment might be the best way to put it. Because I'm sure everybody thought, some of these big names coming, like Mercedes Moné and Soraya and whatnot would really be an asset to this women's division, and I'm just not seeing it. If anything, some of them are actually holding it back, like Mercedes Moné, most especially. Like the thing about Mercedes, I don't know how grating people are finding her personality. I know we kind of find it a little bit obnoxious, especially when she goes up and she says like the name of the city that they're in, like as through her nose and as flat noted as possible.
My God.
But I mean, I think we could. Me personally, anyway, I'll say that I think I could probably get past some of that as part of her heel. If her work rate was worth 2 squirts of piss. That is really the long, the short, and everything in between of the issue I have with Mercedes Moné is the work rate. Like, her in-ring is so freaking bad.
Yeah.
It's just 46 shades of a Meteora and, like, then a submission hold. And when she tried to do some sort of, like, throw as a finisher, she's just too damn small to make it look good on anybody. So I'm not sure what she needs to do about that. But honestly, the whole issue, as I see it, is work rate entirely. And then it doesn't help that when her work rate is terrible, their answer for that is let's get you some big dumb lummox to fight your battles for you. And it's like, wow. So, we realize that she sucks in the ring, so here's our answer to it. It's not that she gets better, it's that we're going to have somebody else kind of do this for her. I'm like, oh man.
The person they picked there, not that good to me. Not yet. Not so far. We'll see.
Not yet. I gotta see more out of Camille. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that'll lead us into the next part of the show. But before we get to that, I honestly don't know why you would have a problem with New York City. I don't know why you'd be.
Jesus.
I don't know why.
The shrill, irritating crap that a lot of the women do is so obnoxious.
Please say hello.
I get obnoxious heels. I do. But I don't necessarily like them. I mean, the Premier Athletes are another set like that on the men's side. They're obnoxious heels. And I actually don't like them and don't ever want to see them or see them win. Like, I'm just not a fan. But with the women in particular, the shrill, like, screaming, maybe that's a personal thing. I don't like shrill, loud crap. Like, that's just not my cup of tea. Yeah. And so all of these women that feel the need to shriek like banshees just makes me want to backhand them, to be perfectly honest. Like, shut up. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the reaction they're hoping for, but I don't... It just doesn't do anything for me. I legitimately want to see these women go out there and pro wrestle. That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But that does bring us...
No, go ahead.
That does bring us to Statlander grabbing the mic at the end of the match and saying that she's not afraid to test herself as the toughest and strongest person in AEW, but Camille is a pain in her ass, so she calls her out. And maybe this will be the opportunity for Camille to kind of show that she can be a powerhouse, because we've seen her in like one other match, and honestly, she didn't come off as strong as I think they needed her to look for this role that she's portraying as kind of the rough, tough, big, bad girl bodyguard for Mercedes Moné. Yeah. So I'm hoping that a program perhaps with Statlander will at least put Camille over, if not Mercedes.
I hope.
So at any rate, I mean, Statlander is good enough that she might be able to carry the match all on her own. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. I hope Camille can show us something. That said, we now move on to, and I mentioned them earlier, Private Party, Quinn and Zay, and Daniel Garcia versus the Premier Athletes, comprised of Tony Nese, Aria Daivari, and Josh Woods. Yeah. With Mark Sterling as the valet manager, not sure.
Annoyance.
And they are trying like crazy to push the Premier Athletes. I just don't like them yet. I mean, I've seen some sparks of cool in-ring work out of Tony Nese and sometimes from Josh Woods, I guess if he feels like it or if it's produced for him to do something. I have yet to see Aria Daivari do much. Usually when he's tagged in, it's for a very short amount of time. And more often, he's just the guy that interferes or breaks up a pin or takes a cheap shot. And I don't know. This was a competent enough match. I don't really have anything to complain about, but I'm not really super over on any of the guys in here just at the moment. So this one really didn't do a ton for me. Long story short, Quinn and Zay of Private Party are able to hit the gin and juice and catch the pin and the win. And I was anticipating that this would be a match that either gets messed with by Moxley's crew or maybe MJF comes out because, he initially returned recently coming after Garcia, but that almost seems like it's just been allowed to fall off. Like now it's about MJF and Adam Cole, and forget Garcia and him had anything at this point.
I think Garcia is going with Private Party to do this battle for AEW thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's taking place between the Moxley crew. So yeah, I'm not really sure. You know what I can say about the match is that Tony. Here's the one takeaway that I have for you. Tony Nese's wrestling trunks are still too small.
Every time. Him and Ciabatta both need bigger trunks.
I don't even want to talk about Ciabatta. It's unnecessary. He knows what he's doing. He can wear some like baggier deal like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is the perfectly dressed wrestler in any promotion.
He's got bike shorts and then he's got like boxer shorts
It's a classy guy right there. A classy stand up penis covering gentleman right there. And I think Tony Nese could learn a thing or two from Samoa Joe. And so could Ciabatta freaking Italian loaf. Unnecessary.
What was it that Jack Perry said?
I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember what he said. Jack Perry can look at that man's crotch as long as Jack Perry would like. Knock yourself out, Jack Perry, but don't tell the rest of us about it. We don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Hey.
Okay?
Hey. You know what Jack Perry can do?
What?
He can get the hell up out of here.
Yeah, get the hell out of here, Jack Perry. And the wise words of Mark Briscoe.
Wise words of Mark Briscoe. Yes, he is a sage and a wise man.
Wise man, dang it. So anyway, yeah, that's what I can take away from this. Tony Nese needs to wear something a bit more appropriate. He knows what he's wearing. He knows what he's doing. It's unnecessary.
He's just trying to show you he's a premier athlete.
I don't want to see it. Okay, you can show me. You can show me in the ring, good sir. And Daivari can't show me nothing. That dude, that walking Q-tip, he has done nothing that I have seen at all that I'm gonna go, oh yeah, Daivari is in the hole. No, he's not. I don't care. Josh Woods, he's alright. Like you said, I don't know what it is about Josh Woods. Like, he's just kinda, sometimes he's like, you know what? I don't wanna.
Yeah,
sometimes he's just on the ropes eating a banana or something, just chilling, like living his life, looking at his cell phone, buying some new slippers or some shit. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but sometimes man just isn't there. And then when they get to the ring, he's like, fuck you. And then he leaves again. And then it's Tony Nese. Tony Nese is the one that I see in the ring the most. Like, Tony Nese gets in there, and you know why I know that he's the one that I see the most? Because he wears the tiniest little briefs in wrestling history. That's why. He's just basically twerking in the ring. That's all he's doing. he's
so there you go,
twerking
Tony, you
and
man
flipping.
whore. You need to just cover up, you sick freak.
Yeah, come on.
And as far as what Josh Woods is doing, a little decorums. What Josh Woods is doing is he is always on the outside ordering a new like shark fang mouth guard. Like, that is his thing. That's his entire thing.
God, dang it, Mr. Woods.
I do think we could see more out of these. I think Arya Daivari is probably bringing that group down. Arya needs to step up and show me something, because I've seen some performance out of Nese in ring that's pretty good. And Josh Woods, again, when I guess they let him, he's like a suplex machine. No offense, no copyright infringement, Taz. Don't freak out. So I think these guys have more that they could show us, but this is as much as we've been allowed to see of them. Kind of like with AR Fox, right? Kind of like with AR Fox.
I assure you that Mr. Nese has shown me enough. Okay?
I mean, in the ring.
He doesn't need to show me anymore. He has shown me
you've seen
plenty
enough.
in the ring. All damn near his ring in the ring. I don't
Oh
want to
man,
see any more, Mr. Nice. No. Some
no. All
biker
right.
shorts or something.
Well, long story short here, Private Party and Daniel Garcia are the winners. And it was a match. It was credible. It just wasn't doing anything super for me. Like, this was the middiest of mid cards right now.
You know who all lost?
Who?
We all did with our eyeballs.
Hey, no, come on. No, I'm not trying to bury these guys. This wasn't like a smoking hole in the ground.
Oh no!
Monet match or
no.
anything.
I wasn't about to. I wasn't about to go there. I was saying that we all suffered. Our eyeballs did because of Tony Nese's boxer briefs.
Oh man!
Or his
now
briefs. That's what I was gonna say. But
they're apparently too brief.
Yeah, they're not long enough. That's for sure. So.
All right, so listen, dress like Samoa Joe. That's the new order of the day.
That's the new. The new. I like it. Yeah, but no, seriously. As a group, there, it was a pretty good match. It was decent. I think we were trying to do a little bit of flexing for Daniel Garcia and Private Party just to show that they are comparable wrestlers. Right after they had just dropped their promo to the Moxley crew, so it was one of those matches, and it for what it was good. Like, and that's all jokes aside, it was good. It was all right.
Yeah, but following the match, we get a video update on Los Ingobernables, the faction Ingobernable, and how they're going to take out the Outrunners tonight. Good luck with that. You guys don't stand a chance against the Outrunners. You're gonna get Turbo Floyded and Truth Magnumed into the ground. Boy. I'm just saying.
That's
I'm
adorable.
all about them Outrunners.
I know it's adorable. I like you don't even want to destroy the dream, do you guys? You just want to let
No.
You want to let Josh have his moment.
Hey, you know what? Men alive.
That's Leave right, buddy.
Don't pick on the Outrunners.
No. You know what? That's right, guys. Stop it. Don't pick on the Outrunners. They're totally gonna win. Okay?
Always. They are the winningest team in AEW right now.
Nobody tell him. You write in the comments nothing. You just let him live his life. Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, buddy. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, then we end up following that with a match with our favorite freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy versus Bronson with Boulder and Jack Jameson of the... What are they called? They always want to take everybody to Titty City. They're like the Iron Savages or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, the fact that Titty City is disgusting, and it's in fact an improvement on where they started, which was they were eating ass. And I'm like, these guys are just gross, to be perfectly honest. Like,
yeah.
I don't mind a little juvenile humor. I'm a fan of pro wrestling. How could I? But these guys were just gross. And they're still pretty gross. Like, I can't let that go, and they still want to take us to Hairy Titty City for some reasons, so stop it. Fortunately, Orange Cassidy did, in fact, stop it relatively quick. This was an absolute squash. Yeah. You had Jack Jameson on the mic talking smack on the apron, and so the first thing that Cassidy does is he runs under a clothesline that Bronson attempted, and he goes and orange punches Jameson to start the match.
Yeah.
Knocking him off the apron. And we're all like, oh, thank God you shut that guy up. And then he immediately turns around and hits an orange punch and then a beach break on Bronson. And it's just that quick. Orange Cassidy with the 1, 2, 3. And it was great. It was good.
You love to see it. Yeah.
There are some times that you can bury some guys in a squash match and it's totally worth it. And this was one of those times.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It wasn't long, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. And I'm getting the vibe. Just side note, I'm getting the vibe that they're trying or about to get Orange Cassidy into this little issue with the Moxley crew.
As they're drawing the battle lines between Moxley's crew and AEW. Yeah,
and I think they're trying to set Orange Cassidy up as the leader of whatever faction or whatever group is going to go against the Moxley crew, and I'm kind of here for it. I see what they're going for, and if they had anybody that was the quarterback of AEW, I kind of feel like Orange Cassidy could fit that role pretty well.
We will see. I think Mr. Cassidy ends up having something to say about just that later on.
Oh, let me shut up. Okay.
No one said that. And next, we are brought to Jamie Hayter versus the already in the ring Brooke Havoc. And when they're already in the ring like that, you know what's going to happen. Yeah, that's her whole name.
Yeah, already in the ring, Brooke Havoc.
Yep. And Brooke, I think, did this was another short squash match in Hayter's favor. I don't recall a lot about it because it was over pretty quick. But I think Jamie Hayter drilled her with something akin to like a kneeling rock bottom, but she did it with her back facing the fixed camera, so I wasn't 100% sure. And then she picks her up and hits her with the Haterade clothesline, and it's a 1-2-3. And now we have the already leaving the ring Brooke Havoc.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's her new name. That's it.
Squash match might be a little bit of a theme on this particular collision. Then after that, on the big screen, Penelope Ford appears and is, saying something to Jamie Hayter along the lines of, other people have to. Yeah, exactly. It's been a minute. Penelope Ford's been there.
I know.
She says other people have to fight for their opportunities. She was out for 2 years, and her last tag team partner was Hayter. She says too many people have forgotten who Penelope Ford is. Who? And she's here to take everything Hayter cares about. The weird thing about this particular promo is that Hayter was just gone for over a year. So Hayter's just getting back. So, she hasn't established anything for you to take from her yet.
Yeah.
So
and then for her to say
kind of misdirected or awkward. If you want to beat up Hayter, I can dig it. But that felt weird that you're complaining about being out 2 years to a woman who was just out for a year and a half.
Yeah, and meanwhile,
take everything she cares about when she hasn't established anything yet. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Meanwhile, Hayter is still in the ring, looking at the video screen, going okay, what is happening? It was just such a weird promo to even start out saying that other people have to fight for the opportunities. When did Hayter not have to fight for any opportunity that she has?
Yeah. Again,
and by the way,
handed to her.
By the way, everybody that I know of in this promotion's are wrestlers, so in some form they all have to fight for their opportunity. Penelope, you all right? You okay? I don't know. She might not be all right, but anyway, she's here to take everything Hayter cares about. Maybe that's that really cool jazzy, retro coat that she wears.
The one that looks like a kaleidoscope vomited? Yeah, I guess that must be it.
Yeah, maybe that's what she's talking about.
So I'm not sure. That promo just didn't really land with me because it's another one of those ones that doesn't make a ton of sense. It would have been better that's hey, I know you've been out for a year and a half. I'm just coming back too. Let's remind AEW what this is all about and then go after Hayter just to have a banger of a match or something. But this didn't really land whatever Penelope was saying here.
But again, she has to fit one of those 3 or 4 characters that we've created for female wrestlers. So she's just the angry bitch for some reason.
Yeah,
because she was out. Literally, she was out for 2 years, and her last tag team partner was Hayter. So because Hayter came back earlier than her, she big mad?
5 minutes earlier than her, she big mad?
She just got here.
Yeah, I make it make sense is a problem I'm having with a few of these promos. and this one didn't. And I mean, you could have. I think what I just suggested as a promo would have been better. It's like, hey, you were out for a year and a half. I was out for 2 years. When we were last here, we were running this show. Let's run it back and show them how it's done. Something like that would have been better. It would have made more sense. This, I'm like, Hater's been back 10 seconds longer than you are apparently coming back.
You were injured. I was injured. From her? I'm angry about it.
Her injury took everything she cared about away already. You're late,
What's this I see? Jamie Hayter? Are you back before me? I'm mad about it. I'll fight you now. Like, that's pretty much what we got.
Why didn't you even call me once while I was out injured? Because she was injured too. Yeah. I mean, make it make sense, guys. Come on.
Yeah, did you call her? Like, what? Well, whenever they do that kind of thing in a wrestling store, whenever they're like, I was out for 6 months. Now once did you send me a message? Now once did you send a pigeon? Now once did you ask my mom how she was? She baked your cookies, bro. Like they just go on and on. Like,
sometimes it's that level. It's like, you remember when we were in the 3rd grade together and there was only one slap bracelet at the little store and you bought it out from under me? I'm gonna come slap you over that slap bracelet.
That was 75 cents. I'll never get back. Like, okay.
You knew how much that slap bracelet meant to me?
Yeah. You took my buck 50 and bought 2! Like,
but I mean, it's not that far off. We just watched, what is it, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk fight over a charm bangle. So, you know, it's... We're not telling any lies here about the depth of some wrestling angles.
All I remember about that is CM Punk kissing that bracelet.
Shortly after Drew McIntyre had pulled out of his trunks. Yeah. I'm tastes like Drew Dick. Nobody wants
hold on, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people.
Nobody wants this with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. No one.
Hey, they might want CM Punk too. Listen, I don't know.
And you know what? I don't want to know. That's where I'm going to leave that, just right there.
All right, that's fair.
That brings us to our next match, which is Atlantis Jr. versus Kyle Fletcher. And, of course, we get the walking human thumb of one single note entrance music, Don Callis joining on commentary.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Just before that, though, there was Lexi Nair in the back with Private Party and Daniel Garcia.
Yep. You're right.
And Cassidy shows up, and Garcia says that they're waiting for him all night. And then he tells Cassidy, Garcia does, that it's time to step up. And Cassidy, like we were talking about earlier, as you had mentioned earlier, says that he's no leader and he's not that guy.
Oh my God! How could Cassidy be so straightforward? He should have started that sentence with, "Well, really, it's simple," and then gone over the river and through the woods, around the earth 3 times to explain to us that he's no leader and he's not that guy. Did Cassidy not get the memo on how this is done?
I think he didn't follow the notes that were given to him on his script, because I'm pretty sure that I can tell you that his script did not say that simple of a sentence. It was something along the lines of, it's quite simple, really. And then he proceeded to explain the entire storyline for the Iliad.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you're supposed to do it. But I mean, Cassidy is a rebel and he's anti-establishment, so he's going to do his own thing. Although I do think he did actually say a little bit more than that, if I remember correctly. He had mentioned that he's been in the ring with those guys that are part of Moxley's crew, and it changes a person. And then he said he's no leader. He's not that guy.
Yeah. I mean, basically, he's just uninterested in getting into this bullshittery. But as we know, he's gonna get into it. This is kind of like their Jey Uso story over here. So yeah, that, and then Atlantis Jr. versus Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, with the human thumb, Don Callis.
Yeah, with human thumb,
the walking thumb. And this apparently is Fletcher and Atlantis running it back. They've had a fair few matches, I guess, maybe in CMLL, and it kind of showed these guys had pretty good chemistry. There was only one spot that I remember seeing where I guess there was a little bit of a stall, and it was when Atlantis Jr. was trying to. He had been set kind of on the top rope by Fletcher, and then I guess he was supposed to flip into a Canadian Destroyer, and there was just a little bit of a pause too long before they got there, but it ended up looking good anyway.
Yeah.
And this match was just an absolute ass whooping. I mean, Atlantis Jr. did a whole lot of what you expect when you're seeing Lucha Libre. But Fletcher just brought all the powerhouse moves to the scene, and it was nice. And we often see somebody go after the mask of a luchador. Well, this is one of the few times I think it almost worked because Fletcher, I think, tore too much of poor Atlantis' mask because it was half missing for the remainder of the match. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
that mask has given up. It ain't working. I can see pretty much, I could identify you in a police lineup at this point. Like, I can see so much of your face now. And, just to talk about some high spots in this match, there was some nasty half and half suplexes from Fletcher, and Fletcher, I think at one point attempts to go for the Tiger Driver because that's the meanest thing he can think to do is to steal Will Ospreay's move.
Yeah,
and Atlantis escaped into a roll up pin after that. Fletcher drilled him with like a DDT through the ropes from the apron, and he hits a brainbuster on the apron and then like a brainbuster in the ring for a 2 count. Apparently Fletcher's MO tonight was brainbuster because that's foreshadowing. And then there was a sequence where Fletcher set up to go for a tombstone pile driver and Atlantis reversed it, and then Fletcher reversed it, and they kind of go back and forth this way for a little bit. And that's what led into that top rope assisted Canadian Destroyer I was talking about earlier. And then I think Atlantis goes up for a frog splash and nails it. And then he goes again to try and get a second one. And with this one, Fletcher pulls up his knees. And then Fletcher takes Atlantis to the top rope and then hits a top rope corner brainbuster where Atlantis' head hits the top turnbuckle. And that's how he gets the win. And Fletcher is now joining Hologram in that he sort of finishes matches with what the hell ever he wants. Like, I don't know what his finisher is at this point.
Yeah,
but it was a solid match between the two of them.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Yep. And then after the match, Don Callis gets into the ring, and it's just like he's almost getting booed on a Mysterio level now. Like, it's hard for them to really get to speak without being booed. And he mentions that Fletcher has something to say, and Fletcher says he's ready to talk, but he won't waste his breath on these fans, but he will on Wednesday, and that we're all going to listen, especially you, Will. And that's not a grammatically awful sentence. He meant Will as in Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll find out more details about why he did what he did to Will Ospreay.
Fletcher, why you do?
Why you do? I thought y'all were like the super bestie friendies.
Yeah, well, we saw how that turned out.
Clearly it didn't work. Yeah. To give the people what they want. Yeah. And that leads us to our next match of the night, which is House of Black, like the full house, minus, what is it, Julia Hart, who is, I think, out nursing an injury, a pretty bad one. Unfortunately, we miss her. She was good. But it's Malachi, Buddy, and Brody versus the already in the ring Alphazo, Chris Nasty, and Alumide. I think that's right. And as you probably can tell, those folks that are already in the ring are going to get squashed. So, again, continuing with our theme of squash matchiness, the House of Black proceeds to absolutely destroy this little team of no-namers. They pretty much brutalized them, and in short order, the House of Black wins using their, I think it's Cerberus triple attack that they use in the corner, and House of Black wins.
Yep.
Short, sweet, to the point. And
Yeah,
that
like
brings
that's most of the
us.
matches tonight. Most of the matches tonight were that.
Mm-hmm. And then, if you will, you can let them know where that brings us next.
Yeah. After that, we had Lexi, and she's with Thunder Rosa in the back. Thunder Rosa says she's ready, or that she was recovering from a concussion. She talks about what she's been up to, and then while she's just giving everybody an update, basically about what she's been up to, Harley Cameron comes in and interrupts, and Thunder Rosa did not care for that at all and drops her. Uh, Harley says Rosa will be the next to feel her wrath while she's on the floor, which she did in a very campy, very goofy way.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked, okay, and I think that's when it hit me that maybe she should just stick with that character and just keep rolling with it, and maybe it'll work, maybe because I mean, see, hey, the Outrunners have gotten over with the fans. Roderick Strong got over with the fans when he was doing the
Just by screaming everybody's name at them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So maybe she can make this work. I just think that she just has to drop Soraya. Honestly, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Soraya needs to do, but what she's done so far isn't impressive. And every time anybody gets around her, they just kind of get stale. And I think Tony saw it. I think Ruby probably saw it because she was making her moves to get out of that group herself before she went off and before she got pregnant. So I don't know. And maybe Harley needs to do the same thing.
I
And
think so. I think
Soraya
Soraya
just
is
needs to
just
go
turning.
find something to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Soraya is turning into an albatross that is actually just bringing down anybody that she's trying to work with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason.
And if you know anything about an albatross, you know that wingspan is wide. So you need to give her a lot of space, a lot of room. Make your distance
Indeed.
if you can, and just go
However,
on with yourself.
that brings us to the most significant and awesome match of the evening.
Oh my lord. This must be the Outrunners. Yeah.
The Outrunners are going against the Fachon Agarnabalabales.
Stop it. Ingobernables.
I mean, it just rolls off the tongue.
La Fashion Ingobernables. Come on, man.
Fashion Gobernables.
Fashion Gobernables.
And this is going to be Roosh and Mortos with Dralistico in tow.
Yeah.
And, I mean, how can I not be excited about a match with both the Outrunners and the Beast Mortos? I mean, Rush ain't bad. He's cool, too. That's fine. And Dralistico, whatever. But, I mean, the stars of the channel, obviously, Truth Magnum, Turbo Floyd, and the Beast Mortos.
Yeah.
And this ended up, I wasn't sure how this match was going to go. I wasn't sure if the Outrunners were just going to squash the Fashion Gobernables, like, immediately. But, they decided that they were going to give these guys a little bit of the rub, so Mortos and Roosh were actually allowed to participate and show their stuff in this match a bit.
Yeah.
So it actually was a really nice match, and it was in this match that it kind of dawned on you that the Outrunners are using, like their character persists even into their in-ring work, in that they're using some of the more classic wrestling maneuvers.
I was like, oh my god, this is some 1985 shit. What's happening? It finally hit me.
Like they are drop.
Literally the total 80s package. Literally.
The total 80s package, and I'm here for it. And this ends up being a much better match than many people would probably think, because for whatever reason, they're underestimating the Outrunners. I don't know why, but they probably shouldn't. And after giving us a heck of a match with some excellent double bicep elbow drop action, we end up with a situation where that foul and awful Dralistico interferes by tripping Truth Magnum like schmuck. And even though Turbo tried to hang in there and he ends up getting a nice slam on Rush, Dralistico again gets the ref's attention with a flying camera cable. I remember we were watching this and we were like, what was that just flew out from, into frame? And it's like, what was that? And apparently all of us got distracted, not just the ref. And Dralistico then gets in the ring on the other side, and he gets dropped with a big right hand from Turbo Floyd. And Turbo tries to bring Rush in from the ring, or into the ring from the apron the hard way, but Dralistico trips him. And so this trip happens mid-lift. So Rush actually just falls on top of Turbo, and then Dralistico hangs on to Turbo's foot to get a cheesy, awful, terrible, you heel scum pin. The only way they could possibly win against the Outrunners, but they did pick up the win. The Los Fashion Gobbernoblies take this one. They will rue the day.
And then they do indeed.
And then on top of it, to make matters worse, the Gobbernoblies then attack the Outrunners after the match, but as any good double bicep bros would, FTR then comes rushing to the ring, and by rushing I mean they're like walking fairly slowly until about the midpoint of the ramp, and then they run, because like real men don't run all out that far. That's just not how it's done. But all four men are able to drive off LFI. Like the Outrunners. It wasn't until the Outrunners sort of regained their composure that FTR and all of them were able to run off LFI. I mean, FTR is good, but they needed the help of the Outrunners here. The Outrunners had to help FTR help the Outrunners, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But they run them all out, and then we get as much double bicep posing as one human being can stand. And it was fantastic. Even though LFI stole, like thieves, a victory over the Outrunners. They're going to get you, Rush and Mortos. And you too, Dralistico. Their little dog, too.
Jesus. Yeah, that'll learn him.
That it will. Rue the day.
However,
after that much awesome, I don't know where we go next, but apparently where they thought we needed to go next was a video package with Sammy Guevara talking about how he is going to get a match with Shelton Benjamin. And they show a picture of Sammy Guevara when he was like an embryo, apparently took a picture with Shelton Benjamin at like a convention. And that just lets us all know that Shelton Benjamin is old. I think was what was conveyed there.
Yeah, that's the takeaway. And also, we now know that Shelton is going to have his second match with the second smallest guy in AEW.
But Sammy Guevara, we've seen Sammy. He can bring it when he wants to. And I have higher hopes for this match than the one that was with Lio Rush.
That's good, because I think Benjamin's going to throw him a lot higher than he threw Lio.
That's entirely possible.
So we'll get a lot of Sammy Guevara. I believe I can fly. We're gonna get a lot of that. Yeah.
Shelton. Look, I hear what you're saying. You're making it sound like Shelton Benjamin, as huge and as muscular as he is only picking really small wrestlers to throw around. But I assure you, Shelton is the gold standard. He's just trying to do things the proper way. He's working his way up the weight classes, so he's going to work his way up.
He thinks about it every night and day.
So his next opponent after Sammy is going to be somebody like Darby. Like, I mean,
he's going to Sammy away. I believe he will soar. He's going to fly. Look, let me tell you. Shelton Benjamin's going to yeet Sammy, and that's going to be the whole match. It's going to be a yeet match. They might just go ahead and call it Toss a Bitch. And Shelton is like, I cannot wait. And you're right. After that, you're damn right. It's going to be him next. and then he's gonna go after oh my god,
Is that
the
Bret Hart?
scapegoat. No, no, he's gonna go after the scapegoat and
Oh,
yeet him.
yeah, that makes sense.
He's gonna Jack Perry's gonna yeet Jack Perry all the way into his skateboard. He's gonna fucking yeet him.
Right, Jack's gonna run in from the scapegoat mobile and just get tossed right back in it.
Yeah,
That'll be the
like
match.
Shelton's gonna have a new move. His new finish is gonna be called the Yeet a Bitch, and he's gonna start yeeting people. You remember? You remember?
Gonna call copyright infringement.
Oh,
if
that's
he does.
true. That's true. The toss a bitch, then. The toss a bitch. Yeah, there we go.
I could dig that. I
We'll
could
do
dig that.
You remember that? You remember that time? Remember that time that Leo was alive? Remember before?
When Leo Rush had a spine that functioned?
Remember that time that Leo Rush became a pinball? And
I do.
Went flying into the corner?
When Shelton threw him so hard into the corner that he bounced between the top and the middle rope on his way out of the ring, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I see him flying to those open ropes. I believe he can fly. He gonna fly? I'm telling you, he gonna fly. So we're gonna see how that goes.
Yep, we will indeed see. But that brings us to the main event of at least Collision. We haven't quite gotten to the Battle of the Belts yet, which is the AEW's Trios Champions match of Claudio Castagnoli Pac and Wheeler Yuta versus Top Flight, comprised of Darius and Dante Martin and Action Andretti. And this was a really solid match too, for the most part. I remember a couple of really big high spots. There was some definite high flying, as is wont to be the case when you're in there with a team called Top Flight. But the moves that I recall, because I'm into the power wrestling, Claudio Castagnoli hit an absolutely gargantuan last ride power bomb on one of the members of Top Flight and grounded them quite soundly. They are not cleared for takeoff, according to Castagnoli. And then, of course, there was what was it? Pac, I think. Pac ended up winning the match with this. It was a gigantic tombstone pile driver. After a series of uppercuts on Action Andretti from Claudio Castagnoli. And I remember that the tombstone pile driver looked brutal. And that, I think, is kind of the summary of that match. Afterwards...
Here's my summary.
Go ahead.
Here's my summary. The Moxley crew beat up another group or another faction of brown people. And I'm gonna need them to stop. Moxley!
Hey,
stop it.
I told you they're not gonna lose because they're pure and their enemies are weak.
Good golly, Miss Molly. Moxley, if you don't knock it off, stop it. Get some help. Listen.
Get some help.
Pick another group. You know what I'm talking about, Moxley. Look for someone, closer in shade. Stop beating. Somebody needs to tell him.
That means that the Moxley crew can wrestle the House of Black, which is ironic in its own way.
Moxley, bruh.
Look, I'm sure I am certain Moxley has been told and possibly said seek help at least once or twice in his life.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's the stuff that he says that sounds like the beginning of seek help that I'm concerned about. that I'm like, maybe, Mr. Moxley.
Yeah.
Come on now, bruh. Come on, come back.
Yeah. Remember, Mox, look more like Thanos and less like M. Bison. That's
oh, man. Yeah, just choose wisely. You still got that boss. You got that. You still got that Mr. Khan. The last of them alone should let you know that maybe you might want to take it down just a little. I mean, just a little, Moxley. Like, just because right now you're at like 7. You're at 7,
Well,
and if you could just come down to like a 5,
I mean,
it's like a.
in keeping with what you're talking about, of course, after the match, all of Moxley and his crew, including Marina Shafir, come. They're all at the ring now, and they're beating up Top Flight.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
And then Leo Rush runs to the ring and also gets beaten down. So I just wanted to add that to what you were saying because 3 men of color were not enough. We needed a 4th.
It's just the way you said it. Leo. I'm, first of all, happy to see you walking.
Yeah, Milton Benjamin ping-ponged him out of the ring, yeah.
But secondly, you won't be for long if you keep running into situations where 3 guys that are twice your size, okay, 2 guys twice your size, 1 still slightly bigger than you, and a lady bigger than you as well. Don't do that. Why would you do that? You were already backstage. Maybe you could have gone, hey, you guys that are right here, you want to come out there with me because I'm the size of one of their legs? So, I don't, and y'all remember when I got ping-ponged, my back still, so if somebody could come out with me, please, that'd be great. Instead, he gonna come running out there like he's just gonna make a change. And it's like, no, you're not. You're not. You're not. You're not. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
I didn't see when Rush made it to the ring. I just saw a sleeping bag fly into the ring. That's all I saw. So I didn't realize it at first. I'm like, the announcer's saying Leo Rush is there, but where is he? And then I saw in the corner they were kicking the sleeping bag, and I was like, oh, there he is. Okay, that must be him.
He can't breathe.
But that persisted. That ass whooping that the Moxley crew was given to Top Flight, Andretti, and Leo Rush persisted into the beginning of Battle of the Belts. That's how we closed Collision, and we enter into the Battle of the Belts. And they're beating him up. And Claudio at one point drags Dante all the way up the entrance ramp to the stage. And that's when the Dark Order shows up to attack. And
I'm assuming that Moxley wants to attack them just because he doesn't like their name.
Maybe you might be onto something. But they show
like
up
the
to
dark
attack.
What? Hell no! He's not feeling that shit.
No. And then Johnny Hungy, John Silver, the shortest man alive, maybe save only next to Leo Rush, starts attacking Claudio with a chair, and they fail to turn the tide against Moxley's crew somehow. I mean, the Dark Order is so top of the card. I don't understand how they could have not succeeded here.
I think that's what happened. I think Leo asked them. He was like, "Hey, if I get my ass whipped, could y'all come out?" And they were like, "We got you." And so, maybe that was the only group that was close enough that Leo could talk to.
Perhaps, but somewhere along the way, like the ass whooping completely shifts away from Top Flight and Leo Rush and Action Andretti, who just slink back out of, they just go away, and it becomes the Moxley crew just beating on the Dark Order. And then Mox gets a microphone and says that the Dark Order's got one chance to fight for their lives and their careers. And he then, because I guess everyone, like he said, works for him now, he pretty much makes a Trios Championship match right then and there. and says we're going to have another one against the now completely obliterated Dark Order that are not only hammered with chairs and have been being beaten on for the preceding 5 minutes, but they're also kind of separate. So it's really just like the three of his guys versus John Silver when the ring bell goes off.
Yeah.
Like, I think Evil Uno didn't even really get a solid chance to participate in this match because he was just too ass whooped on the outside of the ring. So we end up with an impromptu trios championship. And I know I said earlier on that Battle of the Belts didn't really put that many belts on the line. And I don't really count this either because this didn't come across as an actual match so much as a humiliation of the Dark Order. This was more of a spot than a match. And as you might be able to anticipate, John Silver and Alex Reynolds, again, because Evil Uno was dispatched for this match, like he just never could get in. John Silver and Alex Reynolds pretty much just get their asses handed to them by Claudio, Pack, and Wheeler. And so they quickly knock out two of AEW's potential trios champion like contenders immediately. Like, I guess they just didn't really want this enthralling match with the Dark Order to take too much time. So, long story short, Reynolds is forced to tap out because Wheeler Yuta ends up getting him in cattle mutilation, while I think Pac also had Reynolds in some kind of a sharpshooter or something. And they end up getting the win.
Yeah.
And the beatdown... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say this beatdown continues after the match. When Private Party comes out with Daniel Garcia and Mox and his crew leave through the crowd. And we get a brief visual of Orange Cassidy also coming out, but kind of stopping about midway down the entrance ramp and then turning around and walking back to the back. And that ends that initial segment for Battle of the Belts.
Yeah. And I think the takeaway that I got from that match is I think that John Silver and JD McDonough have body parts that they need to switch out with each other.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that that JD McDonough with his gigantic noggin needs an even smaller body to put that head on? I don't know. What would you swap?
But Johnny Hungy's his arms, I think, match better with JD McDonough's large head. and if he could take McDonough's little arms and put them onto his little body to match his little head, I think that would work.
I see. I see. Okay. I see where you're coming from.
Because then JD McDonough, JD would have to have broader shoulders to accommodate the strange arms that John has. So, I'm not making fun of these guys. I'm thinking that would work. I'm thinking if they switch those thingies, then you got boom. You got
two correctly proportioned men. Is that where we're?
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. JD is still gonna have that giant noggin. Like, that head is just. It's a moon. It's a moon head.
Poor mother.
Seriously. Yeah, I hope that that's not what happened, man.
I don't think she ever recovered.
That poor lady. I hope that's not what happened. But yeah, because that's a light bulb.
McDonough.
Yeah, it's a light bulb right there, man.
Yeah.
That noggin.
But moving on from incorrectly proportioned men.
Yeah. All jokes aside, the match was, I think, just there to destroy Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. And I think it was all because their name's the Dark Order. John Moxley, you bastard. You bastard! I loved you.
No, that's Pac.
What?
Pac is the bastard.
Ha! Nice. I'm blaming Moxley because he has started this faction. Shame on you. You were not raised that way, Mr. Moxley. Shame on you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But I think that match took place because somewhere along the way they realized that their quote unquote battle of the belts didn't involve that many actual championship matches.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
they had to squeeze this one in because the original trios championship match was the end of Collision. So they had to put one at the beginning of Battle of the Belts because they were like, well, we only have one belt on the line really in this whole Battle of the Belts, so do another one.
And I'm not sure how much you want to get into the weeds about Battle of the Belts, but you're right. I mean, honestly, I personally wouldn't have much to say about this particular showing. I remember Battle of the Belts. I remember seeing a few of them before. This one has got to be
one of the more lame duck ones.
Yeah, not fitting of the name of the event at all.
Battle of the Belts, yeah. Well, because outside of that sort of not really a match and more of just beating up the Dark Order, the only belt on the line is this match that I'm about to talk about, which is Kazuchika Okada with the AEW Continental Championship versus Kyle O'Reilly. And I wish I could say more good things about this one, but this was a match that literally went to like the 5 minutes before the 20-minute timer was up. And the first 10 to 15 minutes of it, I felt was just like dicking around. Like it was really, really boring between Okada and Kyle at the beginning. And it wasn't until like the last 5 minutes that they started throwing on a match that looked really, really good. Like it was a whole lot of just like slappy, locky at the beginning. Like, you know how you have that feeling out period, especially with technical wrestlers at the beginning of a match? This was the first 15, 20 minutes of this match, and it was like, oh, Christ. I should say 10 to 15 minutes, because 20 was the time limit. So it really wasn't until the late part of this match that it started to heat up a little bit, and, Okada, drills Kyle with a DDT out at ringside. And Okada, goes to the top rope and hits his flying elbow, after which he reaches down and then he flips off the crowd, which still gets a chuckle out of me. You've got to give the people what they deserve.
Yeah.
Because they do the camera like they used to do with... So it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And, it's unfortunate that the last 5 minutes wasn't like the entire match, because the preceding 10 to 15 was really, we wanted to fall asleep. It was bad. And it was really dull. And that's bad for both Okada and Kyle, who can both sometimes fall into having really slow matches. And this was that. So, if I recommended anything, I'd be like, watch just like the last 5 minutes of this one if you care. And, that's when Kyle ends up stopping a Rainmaker by grabbing Okada's arm, and then Okada gets it with the other arm. And then Okada hits Kyle with that big drop kick that Okada gives people concussions with.
Yeah.
It looks really good. And, then Kyle jumps on him to try and get the guillotine choke, but Okada's able to turn it into a big slam, and then Okada's able to hit the Rainmaker to get the pin and the win. And this was all in like the last 5 minutes, because they made a point to tell you that they were at the 5 minute mark with only 5 remaining. So that's when they like decided that they actually needed to wrestle. So again, the preceding 10 or 15-ish minutes really didn't need to happen, and it was just long for the sake of being long.
Yeah, I just about to say that I feel like this was a match that was that long just because they needed it to be that long.
So, unfortunately, not the best showing from either Kazuchika Okada or Kyle O'Reilly, because literally, for whatever reason, they were stalling for the first 10 or so minutes of this match. Like, it was, like, you could tell. And so, it got good. It was good at the last 5 minutes is the best thing I can say about it. But really, it didn't need to be that long, and it rubbed me the wrong way because of that. because it could have been much better as a shorter match if that's just what they had done.
Yeah.
That said, Kazuchika Okada retains, and so the one belt that was on the line tonight didn't move.
Yep.
And then we get after that match, and I'm going to try and run through a little quick on Battle of the Belts because there really wasn't a lot going on here. We get a promo from Anna Jay about her upcoming match with Mariah May, which is later on in Battle of the Belts. And then we cut to the back where Rush is with Dralistico and says that they're going to destroy every wrestler and faction in the company. And they pull the camera back to show the Beast Mortos is beating up Holograms. So apparently we haven't seen the last of the Beast Mortos and Hologram fighting one another. And we have yet another faction that apparently is going to destroy everyone else.
Yes.
And then we have Lance Archer and Brian Cage make their way to the ring. And I was excited to see this because this is a real powerhouse duo. And as you know, power style is my favorite form of wrestling. And Brian Cage and Lance Archer deliver here versus the already in the ring Jack Cartwheel. Oh my God, this guy was silly. And John Cruz. And Jack Cartwheel, as you might have expected, cartwheeled not once but twice in this match. And again, for Battle of the Belts, I guess there was a belt involved because Brian Cage recently beat Atlantis Jr. for, I think, the Ring of Honor Television Championship, but it wasn't on the line here. It was just that he has it. He has that belt.
Yeah.
So they essentially obliterate Mr. Cartwheel and Mr. Cruz, and it's everything you kind of wanted to see. There was a point where I think there was like a powerbomb choke slam involved. It was very nice. And then there was like a blackout slam, which I think is supposed to be Lance Archer hitting the blackout and Brian Cage catches the falling opponent in a sit-out powerbomb, but Brian didn't quite catch him super good. Like the move didn't look absolutely atrocious, but I think it could have looked better. But all told, a nice little squash match for the new formation of Lance Archer and Brian Cage. Then we have a backstage spot with Lexi Nair, who's talking to the Undisputed Kingdom, and they want to meet with the Beast Mortis, who is also there, and they give him a big plate of beast meat. That's what they called it. And I'm sitting there thinking, did you just give a Minotaur a plate of brisket? Isn't that technically cannibalism? I don't know, but Mortis doesn't give a crap. He's eating it. He's happy about it. And they're like, he's disappointed that he's doing all of his current stuff without him. And they aren't mad. They're just disappointed. And Mortis, like the deep conversationalist that he is all roar, but then also roar. So it was a good promo. I really think that the Undisputed Kingdom are going to have to bring up their speaking skills to have this conversation with Mordos because he talks circles around them, but otherwise it's good.
Yeah.
And then we have Mariah May versus Anna Jay in an eliminator match, and I had pretty high hopes for this match because they've been talking up Anna Jay for a minute, and they're talking about how Mariah May needs good competition, and we agree. Mariah May's championship run has been kind of lulu. But this is a freaking eliminator match, and I don't know if I've said it loudly or long enough, but I hate the very concept of an eliminator match. You must first beat the current champion in order to get a chance at beating the current champion is the freaking dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
If at any point the champion loses in a singles contest against somebody else in their division, they should no longer be the freaking champion. Like, that's just my way of seeing it. Let alone that a contender has to initially beat the champion once before they get a chance to actually beat the champion. This is such a cheap way to have a championship match without actually putting anything on the line. I really am not a fan of the very concept of an eliminator match. I tend to think that if someone's going to be a champion, if they're a singles champion, if they ever lose a singles match to someone else, then that someone else is now the damn champion, period.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you telling me? That, it doesn't count unless it's unless we call it a title match, you can beat them 6 ways to Sunday. That's stupid. That's really stupid, and it undermines what I think being like a champion entails.
Yeah.
And this is just an annoying way, like I said, to have stakes without actually having stakes. And Anna Jay wins the eliminator match. Is the long story short. They had a pretty decent match between one another. I really didn't see that much had changed on Anna Jay from the last time she wrestled. Like, so this big trip to New Japan, I don't know what it did for her.
Yeah.
Because they were pitching it like I am remade after my trip to Japan, and I'm like, really? Because I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like back in the day when WWE was like, Asuka is a totally different woman now, from before, after I guess she was also in Japan for 5 minutes. And I was like, she sort of looks like the exact same Asuka, except like she's added one more kick to her strike thing. So not the big overhaul of Anna Jay that maybe they had pitched in the promotionals, but they looked good together. I think Anna Jay and Mariah May could put on a good match. They physically pair up pretty well. There's not this huge size disparity, so both of them should be able to do their moves to one another. And after a fairly decent match between the two of them, Anna kind of gets out of, I want to say, like one of Mariah May's devastating headbutts, and then rolls up Mariah May for a quick pin, and that's how she ends up winning this eliminator match. So we will, in the future, thereby have a Mariah May versus Anna Jay for the AEW Women's Championship match, which, for reasons, I guess, did not happen on Battle of the Belts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm not really sensing that Battle of the Belts really was for very much belts.
Yeah, they keep saying those words, but I don't think they know what those words mean.
Yeah, I don't think that means what you think it means. Like, it can't just be that the person has a belt. It should be that they are defending their belt. So, anyway, Anna Jay will get her title shot in 2 weeks on Collision, and that was Battle of the Belts. That was the final match of the night, and it wasn't even a match with stakes, other than a title shot. So, yeah, Battle of the Belts. There it was. And I gotta tell you, let's review Collision, and then we'll say what we feel about Battle of the Belts. What do you think? Okay, so Collision kicked ass. The in-ring was good. A lot of the promos were good, and I felt like a lot got done. And so I'm gonna say Collision was top tier, because I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10.
I would definitely give Collision at least a 7 or 8. Yeah, so I would call it top tier. It kept me interested. The matches were good. Yeah, I mean it was a solid show. That's a combination of solid and show. Solid.
Like it was solid. Solid. Yes, it was solid.
I knew it was coming.
Greetings, Collisionette.
Right around the corner.
But I have to then say that Battle of the Belts was wildly disappointing. Not only was like the first match of the night was sort of a joke spot match where it was really just Moxley's crew beating up the Dark Order, so I didn't really view that as an actual threat to a championship, so I didn't even count that. Even though they, I guess, want you to, it was what it was. It was a beatdown spot. And then the one match that had a belt on the line was Kazuchika Okada and Kyle O'Reilly, and I've already made my feelings known about how, like, for a 20-minute match, the last 5 was the only thing worth watching. And that was the only belt that was actually on the line in Battle of the Belts. So, I wasn't blown away. I mean, I wasn't super disappointed by Mariah May and Anna Jay, other than the fact that it was a stupid eliminator match instead of actually for the belt. Yeah. But that does count against it. And it didn't blow me away either, right? And Kazuchika and Kyle was the only really other long wrestled match. The only other thing was a squash for Lance Archer and Brian Cage, and that was credible enough. But Battle of the Belts on the whole, kind of not really delivering on what Battle of the Belts suggests that it is, and not great matches to boot. Like, nothing mind-blowing, and one that was really pretty freaking lame duck with Okada and O'Reilly. So I'm gonna have to say this was meh. Like, it was definitely not top tier.
No, not top tier at all.
This Battle of the Belts was nothing but well drinks, guys. No top shelf stuff here.
Yeah.
So that's our coverage of AEW Collision from October 19th, along with a very kind of disappointing Battle of the Belts.
Yep.
I feel like Battle of the Belts could have been something I saw on Rampage. You know what I mean? Like,
I do, and I agree. Yeah.
So, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this episode, and our next episode should be our coverage of WWE's Monday Night Raw from October 21st. And I hope we have all of you join us for that. And until then, I guess there's nothing left for me to do but roll the outro.
Yep. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.